Well, a day after the Congress Vice President's Khoon ki dalali baab, BJP President Amit Shah has lashed back at the opposition. Amit Shah condemned the politics over the recent surgical strikes, accusing the Congress Vice President of crossing all limits by insulting the armed forces. In fact, joining the Defence Minister, the party president also said that there was no reason for the government to share any proof of the action as demanded by the opposition. After accusing the Prime Minister of politically profiteering from the sacrifice of the Indian soldier, Rahul Gandhi then took to Twitter this morning saying that he supports the strikes but not the army's use for propaganda. However, his tweet failed to cut any ice with the BJP and most surprisingly with the Aam Aadmi Party.
जो हमारे जवान हैं जिन्होंने अपना खून दिया है, जम्मू कश्मीर में जिन्होंने अपना खून दिया है, जिन्होंने हिंदुस्तान के लिए सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक किया है, उनके खून के पीछे आप छुपे हुए हो, उनकी आप दलाली कर रहे हो।
जवानों के खून की दलाली का शब्द प्रयोग किया तब उन्होंने सभी सीमाओं को लांघ दिया है, इंतहा ही कर दी है। मैं मानता हूं कि राहुल गांधी का इस शब्द प्रयोग इस सेना की वीरता का अपमान है, देश की 125 करोड़ जनता का अपमान है।
ये बिल्कुल गलत है। हिंदुस्तान के सेना ने हिंदुस्तान का काम किया है, आप अपना काम कीजिए, आप हिंदुस्तान के किसान की मदद कीजिए, आप हिंदुस्तान की सेना को 7th पे कमीशन में पैसा बढ़ा के दीजिए। ये आपका काम है, ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी है, इसको आप निभाइए। हिंदुस्तान ने आपको इसके लिए इलेक्ट किया है, ये सच्चाई है। राहुल जी ने इतने बड़े बड़े मसलों पर बयान देने की जगह आलू की फैक्ट्री पर कंसंट्रेशन करना चाहिए, जिससे उन्होंने जो कहा है वो देश की जनता के सामने है। ये बड़े बड़े मसलों पर उन्होंने बयान नहीं देना चाहिए।
And interestingly, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who in fact had demanded for evidence of the entire operation that was carried out by the Indian Army, went on to condemn Rahul Gandhi's statement, once again, in a way, also backing the Prime Minister and his government. Well, on expected lines, the Congress has come out to back Rahul Gandhi, even in the face of the kind of outrage that it is facing from the opposition.
जो सब तरह की बयानबाजी हो रही है वो फौज की आड़ में ये राजनीति नहीं होना चाहिए, सब बंद होना चाहिए। ये ठीक बात नहीं है, सभी लोगों के बयान ठीक नहीं आ रहे हैं और सेना की फौज की आड़ में राजनीति जो है वो कभी नहीं हुई है। अभी भी जो भी कर रहे हैं उनको बंद करना चाहिए।
वो कल का उनका ये कहना नहीं था कि उनका कहना था कि जो एक्सप्लॉइट किया जाता है, आर्मी ने जो काम किया उसको तो हम उसमें सब साथी हैं। इसमें क्यों विवादित बनाते हो? एक पार्टी क्यों उनको पार्टीबाजी में क्यों लाते हो? जो असली उनका मुद्दा था कि आर्मी को हमें डिवाइड नहीं करना चाहिए पार्टियों के अंदर। आर्मी जो हमारी फौज है वो हमारे देश की फौज है, हमारी रक्षक है और हमें उनका आदर सबको है।
BJP President Amit Shah hit out at Arvind Kejriwal and Rahul Gandhi and slammed them for raising doubt on the valor of the Indian Army. But when he was asked the question whether surgical strike will become poll issue, he sidestepped the question and said that the party will directly take the bravery of Indian soldiers to the masses. The import of this answer was not lost on anybody. With camera person Ashwani Helen, Brijesh Pandey for India Today.
Okay, we have with us from the Congress Priyanka Chaturvedi and from the BJP Shaina NC. Priyanka, thanks so much for speaking to us. Now, the one question that I wanted to ask you was that the Congress had been attacking the BJP for a while, accusing the government of not doing enough to rein in, the kind of abuse-filled speeches or hateful comments or very vitriolic statements that had been made by a few senior leaders. Then what do they have to say when their own Congress Vice President makes a remark like this, Khoon ki dalali?
No, how does dalali equate to someone using words like haramzada and ramzada? I first want to understand the difference that you're trying to, or the, similarity that you're trying to bring into it. Dalali means someone taking advantage of a position that they happen to be in. So if the army has gone across the line of control, as per the DGMO, and have carried out a surgical strike, on what basis does the Bharatiya Janata Party try to appropriate their surgical strike or the valor of the Indian army, was what he was saying. trying to use propaganda, trying to use, trying to self-glorify the entire incident instead of giving, credit to the army. Here we have posters all across Uttar Pradesh coming up praising the defense minister attending various felicitation programs and going into a self-glorification mode, forgetting that he also was the defense minister when Uri happened, when Pathankot happened, when Gurdaspur happened. So let's not equate.
But it is the kind of language, ma'am, it's the kind of language and the choice of words that one is talking about.
To Niranjan Jyoti, I'm sorry, to what Mr. Gandhi spoke. He spoke about the hypocrisy and the doublespeak of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
No, but it's about the language, it's about the choice of words that the opposition has taken exception to. Other parties, including the government.
No, they seem to have an exception to everything that the Congress says these days. Or anyone raising a question about the surgical strike seems to be a problem with them, and they do not waste time in branding them anti-national or unpatriotic. I wouldn't go by their parameter of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. Because in the times that we live in these days, unfortunately, asking any question of this government seems to become an unpatriotic act, an anti-national act, which leads to us being asked to please move to Pakistan. So these are the times that we live in.
But
challenging this narrative that the Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to put into place, I do not think becomes unbecoming. It is a question we are not asking of the army because we are very clear that army is capable of even entering Islamabad and teaching Pakistan a lesson.
Stay with me, Priyanka. Let me get in China
also. We are not clear
also.
of this government's intention as far as politicizing the army is concerned, and they are valorous.
Let me get in China, NC also, China, but that doesn't seem to be, the message coming out. When Sanjay Nirupam goes out and outrightly calls the entire surgical strike fake, that is directly taking an aim at the Indian Armed Forces. It's strange that Priyanka Chaturvedi talks of the kind of hypocrisy that exists within the government when the former Director General of Military Operations himself has confessed that the earlier, operations that were carried out were very different. They were very different in terms of, the scale and dimension and impact from what happened recently.
Firstly, let me please respond to an immature statement made by a very immature leader called Rahul Gandhi. You are talking about not some ordinary leader of a political party or even an elected representative. You are talking about the Prime Minister of this country, a man of integrity who has stood up with the nation in this fight against terror. And there you use adjectives such as dalal. Do understand, we are not interested in tom-tomming about any achievement, but the achievement is the army's, the determination and political will and intent is that of the Prime Minister. And the earlier the Congress party gets it, the better it is. I don't want to respond to people like Mr. Nirupam who really have no credibility. So I would only say that we will go to the people of this country with this issue, because every responsible party should motivate the army, and that's what our stand has been. Today, when our President, Mr. Amit Shah, addressed the media, he made one pertinent point, that it was the Director General of the Military Operations and not the Defense Minister, Mr. Parrikar, who briefed reporters about the soldiers traveling into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. If the opposition understands this point, they will realize that to resurrect themselves, they have better issues. They should not mess around with
but my point is, even if it is the defense minister, ma'am, even if it is the defense minister, what's the harm? He's in constant touch with the chiefs of the three armed forces. He's in constant touch with, the national security advisor. Nobody really wants to chest thump the kind of work that has been done. It was, as you said, the DGMO who held that press conference. It was the army's work.
One small comment.
Yes.
Just one small comment. For those who have suddenly, from supporting the government, questioning the government and asking for proof of these strikes, there seems to be an absolute fabrication of the truth. And I think that anyone who chooses to politicize these strikes need not just to be condemned, but they are the ones who need to be told that every heroic figure and every poster that has been a reflection of the common man of India is part of the enthusiasm of every Indian who is fighting this war against terror unitedly. So please consider that every comment of yours
Yes.
against the Prime Minister only makes his popularity with the public at large that realizes his
All right.
commitment that much.
The Congress, in fact, is now just holding a press conference. Shaina NC, Priyanka Chaturvedi, thank you both so much for speaking to us on India Today. We'll just dip in